I took meticulous care of the paralyzed Julian for 2 years. Everyone thought the first thing he'd do after getting back on his feet would be to marry me. Only I asked him on the night of his successful surgery, "Do you still want to marry me?" He hesitated. He never managed to say the simple answer. I let out a laugh. I get it. I slipped the ring off my finger and, without a second thought, left the place I had called home for 2 years that very night. "Do you still want to marry me?" Hearing this, Julian was slightly taken aback, staring at his own legs without speaking for a long time. The cheerful noise from outside drifted in through the crack of the unclosed door. The doctor said Julian's surgery was a huge success. He should be back to normal in less than half a month. I honestly never thought he'd recover. 2 years ago, he'd basically given up on himself. It's all thanks to Ava sticking by him. They're definitely getting married. Right. We should start thinking about wedding gifts. Julian heard these boisterous blessings, but remained silent. An awkward atmosphere filled the air. Finally, I stood up and began to massage his knee and calf, just as I always did. I tactfully gave him an out. "Is this pressure okay?" That broke the tension. His tense body gradually relaxed, as I had for the past 2 years. I asked softly, "Are you uncomfortable anywhere?" He shook his head and answered earnestly, "No. You're even better than the physical therapist." I stared at my hands kneading his legs, lost in thought. I hadn't known how to do this at first. It was because he couldn't stand being touched by the therapists. Every time one arrived, he would throw a tantrum and drive them away. But massage was essential for his legs. So I spent 3 months learning from the owner of a massage parlor. I started by practicing on myself with medicinal soaks, only carefully touching his legs when I was confident. The first time, I only dared to gently knead them while he was asleep. He was a light sleeper and still found out. He flew into a rage. "Get out." I didn't get out. I went through the pressure points the parlor owner had taught me one more time. Unable to move his legs, he threw a pillow at my head. I didn't flinch. He then started throwing whatever he could reach at me. The last thing was a picture frame. Inside was a photo of him from college. One hand holding a trophy, the other balled into a fist, radiant with success. As warm blood trickled down from my temple, he stared at me, struggling to get to my side, but his legs rendered him helpless. Finally, he covered his face and began to sob. "Go. Just go. Don't stay here with me. It's useless. I can't feel it, no matter how you massage. It's useless." Back then, he had given up on himself. I came every day, rain or shine, to give him a massage, until his mother found out he had swallowed a bottle of sleeping pills and rushed him to the hospital. His mother was at her wit's end. I knelt in front of him and said, "Look at me." He obediently looked at me. I said, "Everything will be okay. Trust me." At that moment, I didn't even know where my own confidence came from. From that day on, I moved into his house. Julian's mother thanked me over and over, crying, saying how lucky they were to have me. She hesitated, and I knew what she wanted to ask. So I said, "As long as Julian doesn't kick me out, I'll always stay by his side." But the truth was, even when he tried to kick me out, I didn't leave. When another massage proved ineffective, he exploded. "Get out. All of you. Get out." He was in a wheelchair by then, and he had smashed his entire bedroom to pieces. But the good thing was, he at least avoided throwing things at me. After he had vented, I went to his side. "Julian, trust me," I said again. I repeated that phrase for 2 years. Gradually, his legs could feel the pressure, and then he could do simple movements. Until yesterday's surgery, even the doctors found it incredible, saying the operation was a great success. Barring any accidents, he would be able to stand again. When Julian's mother heard the news, she pressed a bank card into my hand. I stared at the card, dazed. These past 2 years, it wasn't for a bank card. Julian's friends all called me sister in law, but only I knew the truth. I was nothing of the sort. We had never even confessed our feelings, let alone established a relationship. But thankfully, I had Julian's promise. "Ava, when my legs are better, we'll get married immediately." He said that after his first round of treatment, when the doctor had gently expressed his regrets. I was pushing him home in his wheelchair. The moment we got inside, he broke down. For a golden boy to suddenly fall from grace, it was more than anyone could bear. I held him tightly, and he bit down on my shoulder. He bit so hard and deep that the teeth marks are still there. When he saw the blood, he snapped out of it, frantically apologizing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. After he apologized, I massaged his legs as usual. And that's when he said it. No. Before that, he asked, Ava, do you have a crush on me? I didn't deny it. I looked at him and said, yes. He watched me for a long moment before saying he would marry me. But I didn't do all that for a transaction. I just wanted him to feel the same way, praying that one day he might love me back. Now, I stood up as usual, poured the medicated oil into my palm, and warmed it before touching his calf. I knew he was watching me. After a long while, his voice came from above. Ava, you don't have to do this anymore. My hands paused, but I finished the massage. I looked up and, unable to give up, asked again, Julian, do you still want to marry me? He looked like he wanted to say something but kept his mouth shut. I could only laugh at my own foolish hopes. But he was the one who put the ring on my ring finger. How could I not have foolish hopes after being in love with him for so many years? I stood up and washed the oil from my hands. The ring on my finger made my heart ache. He spoke from outside the door. Ava, you're like a sister to me. Tears splashed into the water. I quickly wiped them away. Don't say that. Those words are too cruel to me. When I pushed open the bathroom door, the living room was still bustling with noise. I looked down into Julian's eyes and struggled to take off the ring. The band was the wrong size. A size too small. I don't know if he was careless or if it was never meant for me in the first place. But I know I forced it on. And it squeezed my finger painfully. Before, I could lie to myself and say all rings were like that. Now that it was off, my finger felt a sense of relief. I almost regretted not taking it off sooner. Julian's eyes darted away. I held the ring out to him. Here, it's yours. The mark on my finger was clear. I added, it's a size too small. He opened his mouth to say something, but I waved my hand. I pushed his wheelchair out. The moment we were out, his friends crowded around. What secrets are you two lovebirds whispering about? Can't even let us hear. Don't worry. We won't mess with you today. We'll save it for the wedding. We'll hang out a bit longer and then head out. Julian's friends, like him, were polite and considerate. Knowing he just had surgery, they all brought juice and light snacks. Someone asked Julian, once you're better, we're all going to at least to ski again. Julian agreed out of habit, no longer getting stressed at the mention of skiing or basketball. His friend turned to me and said, Ava, you should come too. Julian will book your flight. You'll love it. Julian looked up at me, leaving the decision to me. After being rejected twice, even I have my pride. I said, you guys go ahead. But then Julian suddenly spoke up. It's fine if you come. After all, I see you as a sister. At his words, everyone fell silent. His friend laughed and patted his head. Julian, what kind of joke is that? More friends immediately jumped in to smooth things over. His leg just got fixed. His head's not clear. Ava, don't mind him. The comment was glossed over with laughter and jokes. But Julian remained silent through it all. I remembered a long time ago. A friend saw the ring on my finger and asked me, Ava, are you sure? They're not from the same world as us. If his legs get better, will he really marry you? I didn't dare answer then. And I still don't dare to now. I know Julian has given me the answer. He won't. The party atmosphere was pleasant, with soft music and everyone chatting about old times. I lowered my head and searched for Titlis, not widely known, but a famous local ski resort. I couldn't understand a word they were saying. It was only then that I vaguely understood what my friend meant by, not from the same world. I stood up, and Julian's gaze immediately fell on me. I went back to my bedroom. It was my room, but everything in it had been bought by Julian's mother. I called the woman who had cried and thanked me 2 years ago. I rubbed my fingertips together and asked, Auntie, about that bank card. She seemed to have been waiting for me to bring it up. Before I could finish, she cut in. 6 zeros. Take it. Thank you for taking care of Julian these past 2 years. I replied with a heavy I had nothing to pack. I threw the few clothes I owned into the trash. I left with the card. Passing through the living room, one of Julian's friends asked, Ava, where are you going so late? Not wanting to make things awkward for Julian, I smiled brightly. I'm hungry. I'm going out for a bowl of wonton soup. They joked about ordering takeout, but I refused. You guys would order hundreds of dollars worth. It's not worth it. Julian seemed to realize something. His eyes fixed on me. I waved to everyone in the room. I'm heading out now. At 1 in the morning. I left the place I had lived in for 2 years with a bank card. It wasn't a total loss, I guess. I found a place to stay. Without Julian to watch over constantly. Without the fear of his sudden mental breakdowns at night. My body abruptly relaxed. And I couldn't get used to it. I couldn't sleep. I just stood on the balcony with a glass of water, watching the few stars in the sky. In the dead of night, I started to listen to my own thoughts. I thought I would be heartbroken, devastated, but I wasn't. I just touched the red mark on my ring finger, wondering when it would fade. That night, I only felt that the wind was a bit chilly and the stars were a bit bright. Julian called the next morning. I answered, but he was silent on the other end. Finally, I was the one to speak. Is something wrong? He then said, tentatively. Ava, I'd like some cream buns for breakfast. After he became paralyzed, he refused to eat. I tried one thing after another, but he kept his mouth shut. Finally, my tears hit the floor as I begged him, please, just one bite. You have to eat. Maybe my crying annoyed him, because he eventually frowned and took a bite of a cream bun. He didn't like the ones from outside, so I learned how to make them. But everything from yesterday was still fresh in my mind. I still remembered his silence. I said calmly, Julian, I'm gone. There was a long silence on the other end. I didn't know what else to say, so I just hung up. The bank card held a staggering amount of money. I counted the zeros, stunned. After counting several times, I still couldn't believe it. I carefully put the card away, finally understanding my friend's words. You're not from the same world. Indeed. My parents are just ordinary people. They knew I was taking care of a paralyzed boyfriend and even came to visit. Julian's mother treated them with lavish hospitality. They were overwhelmed and told me when they got home, Sweetie, this is going to be tough. But they didn't stop me. They just waved their hands. It's okay. Go ahead and try. The worst that can happen is you come home. It's only now, 2 years later, that I vaguely see Julian's mother's intentions. Those platters of expensive dishes surprised even Julian, let alone 2 ordinary people from a small town. Her warm hospitality was also a clear message to my parents. We are not from the same world. I took the card and bought a new apartment, and it barely made a dent in the amount. I spent the next half a month busy with renovations. The next time I saw Julian was at the coffee shop by my new building. His friends were teasingly pushing him. Julian, if you don't win Ava back, I'm going to lose all respect for you. Just apologize to her. Who else could be our sister? In law. I only accept her. Julian hadn't been outside in 2 years. His skin was pale, almost glowing in the sunlight. Hearing his friends half joking, half forceful banter, he gave a dismissive smirk. If Ava appeared in front of me right now, then maybe we'd talk. Unfortunately, I was sitting at the table right behind them. I instinctively tried to hide. But the next moment, a friend coming out of the coffee shop called my name cheerfully. Ava. She ran over to me. They have your favorite cake today. Julian's table fell silent. I watched as their gazes followed my friend and landed on me. My friend placed the cake in front of me, then looked at my suddenly pale face with confusion. What's wrong? Her own expression grew tense because of mine. Then I realized it was their group making a scene. Why should I let them ruin my mood? I changed my expression. It's nothing. Sit down. You still remember I like this cake. That one sentence opened up a floodgate of conversation. We were so close that the voices from Julian's table were unavoidable. It's fate. Julian, go apologize. A girl as good as her. You'll never find another one. I'm telling you, if you don't clear this up, we're not friends anymore. I recognized every voice. When Julian was bedridden, they had all come to visit him, one by one. One of them was a girl who had a crush on Julian. When she went into his room, Julian deliberately spilled water on her skirt. It was hot, and the thin fabric of her skirt became transparent when wet. The girls stood there, mortified. I found a shawl and handed it to her. Julian's eyes were cold as he watched her and sneered. You still like me like this? The girl's eyes were red. I gently closed the door. When she came out, she held her head high and said to me, I'm not going to like Julian anymore. He's not worth it. She then walked away, holding her damp skirt. Halfway, she turned back. She saw me cleaning up the water that had dripped from her skirt onto the floor. She said awkwardly, "But you're very kind." "Thank you. You shouldn't like Julian either. He doesn't deserve you." After that, she ran off. We later became friends and would exchange gifts on holidays. The people around Julian weren't bad, as I was lost in these thoughts. Listening to my friend, Julian's voice broke through. I realized he was standing beside me. He said my name, Ava. I looked up instinctively. His brow was furrowed, but upon seeing me, he seemed to be at a loss for words again. His friends behind him were all jeering. "Julian, apologize. Win her back." Julian's brow furrowed even deeper at their words. But I didn't need his apology now. Dating was always a matter of mutual consent. Besides, I took the bank card, didn't I? I still can't even count the zeros properly. "You can't have your cake and eat it too." Julian stood there, looking conflicted. I spoke up. "There's no need. I don't need an apology." He let out a sigh of relief. He started to turn away, but then looked back at me. "When are you coming back?" Perhaps I wasn't clear enough last time, so I made it even clearer. "I'm not coming back." Julian was lost in thought, staring at me intently before finally nodding. He returned to his table, where his friends were all watching the show. "So, did you win her back? When are you guys getting married? When do I get my wedding candy?" "We're not getting married." Julian's voice was flat, laced with a hint of annoyance. The table went silent. Julian repeated himself, his voice unintentionally rising. "Why would you think I'd marry her?" "Just because I'm grateful. I have to marry her. I told you. I see her as a sister." That was the third time. There's a limit to how much disrespect a person can take. I stood up and addressed his friends directly. "You've misunderstood about the marriage. I was just paid to take care of Julian." Julian looked up at me, his gaze heavy. I met his eyes without flinching. I looked at his furrowed brow and said, "And you don't need to see me as a sister. Strangers would be fine." During the time I was caring for Julian, I would often find myself wondering if Will would have fallen in love with Clark if he hadn't had his accident. At first, I thought yes. Later, I thought no. I wavered between yes and no. And in the end, I never found an answer. I don't know their answer, but I know mine and Julian's. Julian started dating. Loudly. He announced it on social media and openly brought the girl to meet his friends. It was impossible for me not to know. I ran into Julian and his girlfriend at a party. We have too many mutual friends, and no one expected us to meet. When Julian walked in with his girlfriend, the friend beside me squeezed my hand tightly. After all, they had all seen how I cared for Julian for those 2 years. I gave her a reassuring smile and looked openly at the girl Julian brought in. Nothing special. 2 eyes. 1 mouth. Julian saw me too and picked a corner table near the entrance. As they sat down, he ordered a fruit platter for the server. When it arrived, he placed it in front of the girl. She smiled, her eyes crinkling, and leaned in to whisper in his ear. She was happily sharing something with him, but he didn't even bother to lean in. His gaze was fixed on the fruit platter as he listened distractedly. Even a stranger could see his clear lack of interest. If this was what he was like in a relationship, it was rather dull. I wasn't provoked, but my friend was. She got drunk and started insisting on setting me up with a boyfriend. I patiently explained that she was drunk. As I was helping her out the door, Julian's girlfriend met my eyes. "I know who you are, miss." I paused. She continued, "Thank you for taking care of Julian." I nodded and tried to leave with my friend, eager to one-up me. The girl didn't notice the sudden silence around her. She quickly stood up and blocked my path. But if I had been by Julian's side back then, I could have done it too. The random tantrums, the cups thrown without warning, the inability to sleep soundly. She said she could have done it too. I let out a soft laugh. Talk is cheap. But that hypothetical situation doesn't exist. Although, you never know. What if something happens to Julian's leg again? She could give it a try. Julian's expression had already darkened. A friend stepped in to ease the tension. I also made a joke to lighten the mood. If that time ever comes, it would be better to just spend some money on a professional caregiver. That one sentence still made Julian angry. Clink. A glass hit the table hard. I turned to look. He was frowning, speaking with impatience. "It's all in the past. Why bring it up? It's pointless." "But if it's in the past, why can't it be mentioned?" It was because he didn't want it mentioned. He saw it as a humiliation. The next day, my sober friend heard about this and couldn't stop cursing. What's her problem? Showing off right in your face. Let her show off if she wants. I counted the zeros in my bank account balance. And surprisingly, I wasn't angry. It was then that I realized the power of money. But my friend thought I was just putting on a brave face. Julian's already dating someone else. Do you want me to find you a boyfriend? With your qualities. You could find one in a heartbeat. These days, fast-paced relationships are the norm. But I still want to slow down. I want to meet someone, get to know them slowly, and trade sincerity for sincerity. I politely declined. No, thank you. My refusal convinced my friend that I was still heartbroken over Julian and waiting for him. She cursed Julian, and I laughed and joined in with a few curses of my own. Life went on. I learned to bake. I learned flower arranging. There were men who showed interest. But when I suggested we take things slow and get to know each other, they would retreat as if facing a great enemy. Then, less than half a month later, I'd see news of them with a new girlfriend. My friend joked that I was a professional matchmaker. I laughed too. I was truly in no rush. When I was with Julian, my world revolved around him. Now, I wanted to focus on myself first. I wanted to empty my heart before letting someone else in. I wanted the next person I accept to be as sincere as I am. I still believe in a heart meeting a heart. Julian broke up. In less than a week, he was with someone new. Another grand announcement. My friends gradually accepted that Julian and I were impossible. Like Clark, I learned to scuba dive, spending my days with my gear, exploring fun new waters. I was away from the city for half a year, but news of Julian intentionally found its way to me. He broke up again. Perhaps he had an epiphany and suddenly stopped. Julian's friends started dropping hints in a joking manner, telling me Julian was single now, urging me to come back. With the new year approaching, I had to go home, but I didn't expect everyone to be waiting for me at the airport. All of Julian's friends were there, teasing me. Ava, you got a tan. They didn't distance themselves from me just because Julian and I weren't together. One friend had even sent me a message on the day Julian and I made things clear. Ava, even without Julian, I still want to be your friend. But I didn't expect Julian to be there too. He stood at a distance, looking lost in thought. But he eventually took a step forward and said, "Long time no see." 6 months ago, his attitude towards me was tinged with a subtle dislike. Now, he was greeting me like an old friend. I replied politely, "Long time no see." He chose his words carefully. My leg. He was interrupted by my ringing phone. I smiled apologetically at them. I answered the call. A bright, youthful voice came through. "Where are you?" "Ava." His energy was infectious. "I'll send you my location. Don't rush. Take your time." After hanging up, my friends surrounded me, saying they had booked a place for dinner. I waited for them to finish before asking, "Is it okay if we add one more person?" They were all surprised. Who are you adding?" A bright orange jacket was a flash of color. I told him to take his time, but he ran all the way to me. He immediately took my hand and said affectionately, "I missed you so much." It happened so fast my friends didn't have time to react. I tried to take the suitcase from him, but he refused. Only then did I introduce him to my friends. "This is Leo, my boyfriend." Sometimes, fate is strange. It arrives at a time you'd least expect. When Leo confessed his feelings, I told him, as I always did, to take it slow. Honestly, I was prepared for him to give up after 2 weeks. I never expected him to persist for so long. By the time I realized it, his presence was everywhere in my life. I'm not young anymore, and when people heard me say, "Take it slow," they assumed I was stringing them along. But a young man doesn't think that way. When he heard, "Take it slow," he really took it slow. Sincere and passionate. You kept him well hidden. If you hadn't come back this time, we probably wouldn't have even met him. Nope. This dinner is on you. It wasn't that I kept him hidden. I just didn't expect him to come back with me. I had missed my flight due to traffic. And while rebooking, he sent me a pitiful message. "Why aren't you here yet? I hate you." That's how I found out he had bought the seat next to mine as a surprise. But we had missed each other by a stroke of bad luck. He had landed early and was waiting at the airport. And we had just met up. My friends were still teasing me. I raised my hands in surrender. My treat. My treat. Leo copied my gesture and mimicked my tone. My treat. My treat. He was outgoing and quickly got along with my friends. When we sat down at the restaurant, with the addition of Leo, the number of seats was perfect. That's when someone realized Julian wasn't there. They called him, and Julian's voice was muffled. My leg is suddenly acting up. I'm at the hospital. Hearing this, there was no way they could just sit and eat. So sudden. Is it serious? What did the doctor say? It's nothing. The doctor just said I need to rest. You guys go ahead and eat. I'll treat you next time. Even though Julian said that, his previous condition was too serious. And with his family background, I saw their troubled faces and gave them an out. You guys should go check on Julian. We can have this meal anytime. Besides, Leo and I are tired. We'd like to go home and rest. Leo didn't get upset by the sudden change of plans. He happily saw everyone off. I took Leo home. Along the way, he excitedly pointed at the flowers and plants on the roadside, asking endless questions. He had an endless supply of things to talk about, and could even strike up a conversation with a dog on the street. When we got home, the person who was supposed to be in the hospital was standing at my door. Leo, holding my hand, paused. He saw Julian and stepped forward, speaking first. You must be Julian. His voice was cheerful and friendly. He even added a big brother tone to it. I glanced at him. Julian smiled at him but didn't answer. He looked at me and called my name. Ava. His gaze fell on me. Long time no see, he said again. Leo wasn't bothered by being ignored and stood at my side, holding my hand. Julian was about to say more, but I stepped forward and cut him off. Introducing Leo. This is my boyfriend, Leo. Julian's lips twisted into a smile. After a moment, he replied with a low, Then he added, there might be a problem with my leg. Leo chimed in at the right moment, concerned. If there's a problem with your leg, you should go to the hospital right away. He asked patiently, do you need me to call an ambulance for you? He took out his phone and explained matter of factly. After all, my girlfriend isn't a doctor. Julian ignored him and called out to me again. Ava. Leo ignored him too, looking at me and asking directly, Ava, why is he ignoring me? How should I know why Julian was ignoring him? Julian called my name again. Ava. Leo wouldn't let it go, leaning his face close to mine. Ava. Why? I pushed his head away. I don't know. He leaned in again. I could never resist him. I instinctively took out my keys to open the door, only realizing Julian was still there when I was at the door. Leo said, completely unabashed, Ava, you forgot Julian was still at the door. The expression on Julian's face almost cracked. Seeing my gaze fall on him, he finally spoke. Can we talk? Leo shook my hand. Ava, what are you going to talk to him about? It was only then that I realized his uncharacteristically passive, aggressive attitude from the start. A beat too late, I went along with him. I'm not going to talk to him about anything. With that, I closed the door. Leo hugged me as soon as we were inside. I'm jealous. I patted his head. What's there to be jealous of? When we started dating, I had told him everything, holding nothing back. He knew my history with Julian. So, what was there to be unsure of? I hate that you're a block of wood. I didn't know how to respond. But before I could, he cheered up again. Being a block of wood is good. His voice was small and muffled. You don't even notice when other people show interest. But that night, Julian called anyway. Ava, did you know your boyfriend has a first love he was with for 4 years? Julian really was hospitalized. The situation was unknown. One by one, the ex-girlfriends who had claimed they would take care of him went to the hospital. My friends even started a bet on how many days they would last. The result was 2 days. Most left within a few hours. My friends said he deserved it and repeatedly told me not to go soft. Of course, I wouldn't. Ever since I took that card, I never planned on looking back. One evening, Julian's mother suddenly sent me a message. Ava, can you meet with Julian alone? Just once. Leo was right beside me when she sent it. I politely refused. I'm sorry. My boyfriend might mind. She called, begging tearfully. I'm begging you. I'll give you however much money you want. Julian can't keep refusing to eat. I'm begging you. Just get him to eat. Why does this have to happen to Julian? She was incoherent, her tone desperate. From her fragmented words, I deduced that Julian's hospitalization was not a small issue. Julian's mother started sobbing. Why does this have to happen to us? Please. Help me. He has to eat. Leo sat quietly beside me, not wanting to make things difficult for me. He said magnanimously, "It's just one meeting. It's fine. Don't worry about me." But we had no relationship anymore. Why did we have to have this one meeting? If I agreed once, they would use it as an excuse to make me meet him countless times. I remained firm with the distraught woman. "I'm sorry. I don't owe you anything. I have my own life to live. And so does Julian." The next day, I learned from a friend that there was a problem with Julian's leg. The low probability event the doctors had warned about had happened to him. After he started walking again, his muscles began to atrophy. It was very likely he would return to his old life. He could barely stand it when I was with him during that time, let alone now, after experiencing the feeling of standing again, only to be told he might be paralyzed. I didn't reply to that message. Julian suddenly called. I thought he was calling to ask about the massage techniques and medicated oils. He wasn't. He said, "Ava, believe it or not, you and your little boyfriend won't last." I didn't answer. He continued. "Want to make a bet?" He said. "Let's bet on your boyfriend's loyalty." I don't know how to bet on loyalty, but I know that the moment you have the desire to test it, trust immediately shatters. I won't play this kind of boring game with you. But he didn't care about my refusal. He said one last thing. "You just wait and see. All men are the same." I dismissed it as a minor incident. The next few days were a blur of activity due to the approaching new year. Leo wanted to explore the city with me and asked me out several times, but I never had the time. He was dejected, his disappointment clear on his face. Finally, realizing I was genuinely busy, he started wandering the city by himself. With his personality, he never lacked for friends, so I wasn't worried about him. Sure enough, in just 2 days, he was already heading out with great enthusiasm. He would leave in the morning before I did. Sometimes I'd catch him on his way out. Other times I'd wake up to find a note he'd left in the living room. As the notes piled up, a sense of unease slowly crept in. What was he doing? Who was he meeting? I remembered a time I was on a business trip for a week, and he had pestered me, asking what I was doing. For the first time, I understood how he felt. I'm slow to warm up, and I always realize the other person's feelings a beat too late. I wanted to have a serious talk with him, but before I could find the time, Julian sent me a photo from a new number. Leo and a girl, laughing happily in a coffee shop. In an instant, anxiety flooded me. He had told me he was meeting friends that morning. Julian sent a message. "See, all men are the same." I don't know why he was sending me these messages. He sent more photos, one after another. He said, "Guess if he's coming home tonight." I deleted and blocked him. I sat at home, hesitating, and asked Leo what he was doing. He replied quickly, "Having dinner with friends." In the end, I couldn't bring myself to ask, "When are you coming back?" "Around 10 tonight." "Then I'll wait until 10. The time ticked by, minute by minute. I sat on the sofa, waiting anxiously. 11 o'clock. Leo still wasn't back. He hadn't even sent a message. Julian called me from a different phone. "Well, didn't I tell you all men are the same?" But I don't understand his motive for doing this. So, what if Leo really cheated on me? If he cheats on me, I'll break up with him and fall for the next person. It's that simple. I will never lose the courage to try just because I've been hurt. When the girl who liked Julian told me he didn't deserve me, my first instinct was to doubt her. He was kind, good-hearted, and had countless virtues. How could he not deserve me? Now, looking back on the 2 years I cared for him from an objective standpoint, he was ill-tempered, self-destructive, and refused to try even with the most advanced medical equipment. And now he was trying to drag me down with him. He really didn't deserve me. I waited at home until 1 in the morning. Leo still wasn't back. But why was I waiting? Why did I believe Julian's words instead of asking myself, why let Julian interfere in something that was between the two of us? I put on my coat and pushed open the door. Just as I got downstairs, I ran into Leo. He got out of a car. In the back seat was a girl, the one from the photo. He was startled to see me, calling my name and explaining, "Ava, I'm a little late." The woman in the car saw me too and gave a little wave. The car was about to leave. I stopped it just before it pulled away. The driver cursed at me for being reckless. I knocked on the window. A beautiful face appeared. "What's wrong?" she asked. I asked her, "Are you Leo's first love?" She panicked. "You must be Leo's current girlfriend. Please don't misunderstand. I was just here on a business trip." I cut her off. "Yes or no?" Leo, realizing I was angry, rushed over to explain. "There was a traffic jam. That's why I'm late." He said 10 o'clock. It was now 1 in the morning. Was the traffic jam several hours long? I asked again. Yes or no? Yes. During our relationship, Leo had never told me anything about this first love. Some people might not mind, but I do. I broke up with Leo right then and there. The girls scrambled out of the car to persuade me, following behind me, talking nonstop. "I didn't mean to disturb you too. We just happened to run into each other. And Leo was traveling here too. So we had dinner together. We really didn't do anything. You can check the security cameras." The more she said, the more unmoved I was. Finally, it was Leo who spoke. "Shut up." She stood there, at a loss. Leo stopped and told her, "You should go." He watched her leave, then turned to chase after me, following me home and blocking the door. "We need to talk." I looked up at him. There's no need. When I agreed to date him, I had said that we needed to be sincere with each other. I told him everything, but he hid his first love and the fact that he was having dinner with her. I wasn't a block of wood. I chose to be a block of wood because I was with him. I didn't want to chat and laugh with others, and I didn't want to engage in their jokes. I chose not to see others' advances, to treat them with indifference. That's it. Let's break up. The relationship was announced quickly, and it ended just as fast. When friends asked me to bring Leo along to hang out, I told them frankly, we broke up. My friends sighed and once again tried to set me up. I still refused. I was still waiting for a sincere person. If there isn't one, I'd rather be alone. Julian's mother would still call, begging me to visit Julian. I still didn't agree. I sent her all the recipes and medicinal formulas and booked a flight back to my hometown. This time, I didn't miss my flight. As I sat in my seat, Leo sat down next to me. He smiled, his eyes crinkling. "Ava, we didn't miss each other this time." But he didn't even try to understand why I was angry, only wanting to get back together. I was wrong. "Let's get back together. Forgive me. Let's be good." He repeated these phrases over and over. When he was pursuing me, he would analyze my every punctuation mark. Now, he couldn't even be bothered to explain himself properly. Besides, I had repeatedly refused even to see Julian for his mother's sake. I truly couldn't think of any reason why he had to meet his first love. "No, let's just leave it at that." After we landed, he stood there. When I turned back while hailing a cab, he was, as expected, already gone. A sincere, passionate boy, but with a restless heart. But that's okay. At least I got to enjoy his passion. Still, I would look forward to my next romance with a full heart.